The movie begins in 1968 with young Iris and her fiancé Paul celebrating at the glittering grand opening of the Skyview restaurant perched high in a towering skyscraper, where Paul slips an engagement ring onto her finger in a moment of pure joy. But Iris suddenly spots something terrifying as a mischievous boy above tosses a single coin that seems guided by death itself straight into a ventilation shaft, where it jams the fan and triggers a catastrophic chain reaction of cracking glass and snapping bolts beneath the dancer's feet as chaos erupts with people plummeting through the floor. Paul desperately clinging to a pane of glass before slipping away forever in a horrifying fall while flames engulf the scene and explosions rip through the air. Iris narrowly escapes the inferno, only to face more peril as elevators crush victims and floors split apart, sending people sliding to their doom, with a piano crashing down in one final deadly blow. Yet Iris risks everything to save another boy before the entire structure collapses, and she plunges into the fire below, clutching only Paul's ring as her fragile lifeline. And if you're already on the edge of your seat with this heart-pounding recap, don't forget to subscribe to Great Animation Recaps right now, because it helps us grow together in bringing more epic fantasy movie content like this now, as the nightmare fades. Stephanie jolts awake from the exact same recurring nightmare that has haunted her for 2 straight months during class, and confides in her roommate about the terrifying visions of a woman named Iris, her grandmother whom she has never even met, which prompts her to head home and dig into her family secrets, where her dad Marty acts suspiciously evasive, and her younger brother Charlie mentions visiting their cousins, so Stephanie tags along, despite Marty's warning not to mention Iris to any relatives, which only fuels her growing suspicion about what really happened to her grandmother, and where her own mother Darlene fits into this dark puzzle as the siblings arrive at their cousin's house and Stephanie boldly confronts her Uncle Howard about her mom, only to watch him and his wife Brenda recoil in visible shock when she describes the Skyview restaurant from her dreams, forcing the family to finally reveal that Iris is not dead, but suffered a severe mental breakdown and became completely unhinged after losing her husband. Howard explains how Iris locked her children inside the house, refusing to let them attend school, living in constant paralyzing fear that they would die until police intervened and placed the kids in foster care, after which Iris obsessively monitored them from afar and later sent terrifying letters filled with gruesome photos of dead bodies as warnings once Howard and Brenda had their own children, Eric, Julia, and Bobby, which led the family to cut all contact and move away in terror. Yet Stephanie pleads desperately to see those letters, and when Brenda secretly reveals their hiding spot, Stephanie discovers the photos match her nightmares, exactly confirming the visions are real and driving her to track down Iris alone at a remote mountain hideout, where through an intercom, Iris urgently warns her to leave, but softens upon learning Stephanie is her granddaughter, and insists she empty her pockets before entering the heavily fortified house filled with bizarre obstacles and deadly traps designed to protect against unseen forces. Inside the eerie home, Iris warmly greets her granddaughter and asks about Darlene, whom Stephanie has not seen since she was 10 years old, before revealing that the nightmares are not mere dreams, but glimpses of a real future disaster she once prevented at the Skyview restaurant, where she saw Death's plan unfolding with the boy's coin, and rushed to stop it by grabbing the key object and warning everyone about the spreading cracks, saving dozens of lives that night, even though the building never collapsed and the restaurant eventually shut down. But death does not forgive those who ruin its designs, and years later it returned to systematically kill every survivor, including her beloved Paul, leaving Iris to spend decades learning to foresee and thwart disasters while now battling cancer, as she opens up to Stephanie about her rare gift of foresight. Iris senses Stephanie may have inherited the same ability and warns her that death is now targeting their entire bloodline, but Stephanie remains skeptical and decides to leave for school anyway, prompting Iris to beg her to take a protective book before stepping outside despite her own vision of impending doom, which she risks anyway by throwing the book into Stephanie's arms and proving the danger is real when a sudden gust of wind knocks over a compass that triggers a fire extinguisher to fly forward and stab straight through her mouth in a gruesome instant, killing Iris on the spot, leaving Stephanie stunned and finally believing every word as the family gathers for the funeral, where Stephanie tries to convince her father and uncle that death is coming for them all, but they dismiss her as obsessed while her estranged mother Darlene arrives still bitter toward Iris. Back home, Stephanie begins poring over Iris's mysterious book, while the rest of the family enjoys a carefree barbecue at Howard's house, laughing and toasting to life, completely unaware that death has already arrived, with Bobby accidentally breaking a glass whose shard mixes into the ice cubes, and Eric placing his drink near a gas tank, setting the stage for horror, as everyone clinks glasses and Julia suddenly chokes, but survives only for Stephanie to feel a chilling wave of danger from the book just as the grill is lit and a photo frame shatters, sending glass flying, while Stephanie races toward the house, desperately calling Charlie, who does not answer, as warning signs seem to block her path, and the deadly shard is revealed in Marty's drink, though he takes only a small sip before Howard steps onto the hidden glass shard, causing him to lose balance and fall directly into the path of a charging lawnmower that ends his life in a brutal instant. The relatives mourn at yet another funeral as Stephanie rushes home to study the book more deeply, uncovering a note about someone who survived the original disaster and begins piecing together the full death list, revealing that Iris and Paul's children were Howard and Darlene, with Howard's kids being Eric, Julia, and Bobby, while Darlene's are Stephanie and Charlie, all connected by blood and now doomed to die in the precise order death originally planned hundreds of years ago when Iris saved them at the restaurant, forcing death to claim them one by one, starting with Howard's side of the family. Since Marty and Brenda are not blood relatives and therefore likely safe, yet the others refuse to believe Stephanie's warnings, calling her cursed and walking away one by one, leaving her more determined than ever. Eric heads to his workplace, where a spinning fan brushes a hanging chain that hooks perfectly onto his nose ring, while disinfectant spills across the floor, and the fan tightens the chain, forcing him to balance on tiptoes in panic until he bumps a lamp that ignites the flammable liquid, causing glass to shatter and an explosion to erupt, consuming the shop in flames. Yet Eric barely survives by tearing off his burning clothes, and Stephanie, who has been frantically calling him all night, grabs Charlie and races to find him, growing even more convinced that death is relentlessly hunting their family, as Eric still refuses to accept the truth. So Stephanie vows to stay by his side and follow Iris's notes to prevent any chain reactions. As they navigate everyday dangers, like a falling tree trimmer, nearly striking a soccer ball that could hit Eric, Stephanie, and the group encounter Julia out jogging when a garbage truck passes by. And despite Stephanie's urgent warnings, Eric goofs around recklessly near it, while Julia ignores them with headphones on, only to be accidentally thrown into the truck's compactor and crushed in a horrifying moment that finally shatters the family's denial as they chase after the vehicle in shock, realizing too late that death is real and unstoppable, prompting Brenda to reveal a shocking family secret that Eric was not Howard's biological son, but the result of her affair, which may explain why he survived the blast and shifts the next target squarely to Howard's younger son, Bobby. Stephanie recalls a name from Iris's notes, William, whom Darlene happens to know, so the family rushes to the hospital where they meet the very boy Iris saved that fateful night at the Skyview restaurant. And William gravely explains there are only two ways to beat death, either by killing someone else to take their place or by dying and coming back to life himself, now terminally ill, like Iris was, and warns them that interfering too much with death's design could make things even more tragically worse, advising the family to simply cherish whatever time remains before he walks away, leaving them terrified yet desperate for any chance to save Bobby. If this nightmare of your own family being stalked by death one by one was happening to you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments right now. Eric desperately suggests they trigger a severe allergic reaction in Bobby with peanuts, so doctors can revive him after clinical death, and they struggle to retrieve a bag from a vending machine, smashing the glass and lifting the heavy unit together, before accidentally activating a nearby MRI scanner, whose powerful magnetic force rips Eric's body piercings toward the machine, along with a flying wheelchair crushing him brutally inside it, as Bobby, who just ate the peanuts, helplessly watches and reaches for Eric's EpiPen, only for a loose spring from the vending machine to launch across the room and stab straight through Bobby's head in a devastating final blow, leaving Stephanie, Darlene, and Charlie holding each other in horror as they realize fighting death head-on may be impossible. With only Stephanie, Charlie, and Darlene left from Iris's bloodline, the trio decides to follow her path exactly by driving deep into the mountains to the old cabin, where they fail to notice a coin slipping from the notebook and being picked up by an old woman on the ground, as the remote hideout feels ominously alive with death already waiting. And Stephanie slams the gas pedal, sending the car crashing straight into the cabin with her seatbelt buckle trapping her inside, while sparks fly from a short-circuited roof wire. And Darlene races toward the door, hoping that reaching safety will protect everyone else. Yet a massive explosion suddenly blasts the vehicle, sending Stephanie plunging into a nearby pond and pinning Charlie under wooden boards. Darlene crawls over and frees her injured son, urging him to save Stephanie immediately, only for a falling light pole to crush her on the spot, killing her instantly, as Charlie rushes to pull his unconscious sister from the wreckage and revives her just in time, leading the two survivors to hug tightly and laugh through their tears, believing this must be what William meant by dying and coming back to cheat death. But Stephanie's joy shatters when she learns of Darlene's death, leaving only her and Charlie as the final remnants of the bloodline a week later. Charlie and Stephanie visit his girlfriend's house where, while fixing his clothes, Stephanie pricks her finger on a rose thorn, instantly flashing back to her original nightmare in which Iris suffered the same prick, before an old woman dropped a coin that rolled down steps and lodged between train tracks with a speeding train approaching, and as Charlie's girlfriend's father, who is a doctor, casually explains that Stephanie was never truly dead because her heart never stopped during the revival. The pieces of the nightmare begin aligning terrifyingly with a red car appearing, just like in the dream, and Charlie's girlfriend wearing the exact same clothes Iris had worn, heightening Stephanie's dread. Suddenly, the train derails in a thunderous crash, charging straight toward them as Stephanie trips and falls, with Charlie grabbing her and pulling her up in a frantic bid to escape the oncoming destruction. Yet despite their desperate efforts, it becomes horrifyingly clear they have not truly outrun death's grasp after all, as the relentless force that has claimed so many lives in their family closes in with unstoppable precision, determined to finish what it started decades earlier in that doomed skyscraper restaurant. As the screen fades on this pulse-pounding climax, remember to smash that like button if your heart is still racing. From this recap, subscribe to Great Animation Recaps and turn on the notification bell so you are the first to never miss our next epic breakdown. Comment below which death scene shocked you the most and tag a friend who needs to experience this thrill for themselves. Then head straight to our channel for more blockbuster movie recaps that turn cinema into unforgettable animated storytelling, because the adventure is only just beginning here at Great Animation Recaps.